yesterday afternoon, the folks from Silo Smashers will know this. We had a bomb scare in our building next door.
I heard about that.
You did?
What
Yeah.
did you do?
Well, we all evacuated, and so we have Homeland Security neighbors next door. I won't say who all is in there, but next door and in our building.
They'd have to kill you, and that will just
right,
ruin
exactly.
The day, so I just won't say who it was.
So it's a target, and it's a pretty secure building. And so we were all standing outside for an hour, and so we were telling people, go to lunch or then come back. The building will be cleared, whatever. I went home, and I spent the rest of the afternoon working on the business and some things that I needed to communicate on Friday to a group of our project managers, because we just went through a reorg. So this is really time that you have to communicate. So I spent time all afternoon just working on that, and it was probably the most productive time I might have had all week, except for being here.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right.
This is the most productive time.
Exactly.
I think this is just so compelling what you do, because I'm intrigued. I don't know if y'all are intrigued with strategy and planning, but the way the world is shifting and changing, it's become this important skill set you have to have. Mm-hmm. You almost need to be intuitive. I mean, these words that we never would have used, especially as women years ago, you'd never go to a company and say, I'm very intuitive, and your boss would be going, no, girls, you're not intuitive.
Right, exactly.
And no,
How fast can you type?
Yeah, I know, exactly,
Right.
exactly. And no, we will not put intuitive on your business card. And now we talk about these things, that we have to act in this with this unique perception, and I think that's one of the gifts, which Success in the City is never about comparing men to women, because it's not a competition. It's understanding that we're both built differently, and if you harness that, do you look at that in your company, the value, and your partner happens to be a male?
Yeah, my current partner is a male, and we are very different, which is a good thing, because we have different styles of coming to conclusions on things. I'm the quick. I can take it all in and make a quick decision. He's an engineer, so he has to put all the the pieces together. But what's great about it is, because we both come from it from different angles, that we feel that we make better decisions as a team because we discuss it and we respect each other's way of thinking and way of working. So it's a very respectful environment. It's tough having a partner. I'll tell you that. You and I talked about this. It's like a marriage. It really is. I mean, you have to communicate just as much as you communicate with your spouse or your significant other, and you have to make sure that you're always on that same page. And we always make sure, whether we're in good times or we're trying to, or we're challenged with something, we always make sure that we check in with, okay, our basic values, our basic beliefs, and kind of where we're taking the company. And so if you have that at the core, I think you can get through almost anything.
I like that. I mean, I think that's really a really great point. And I think partnerships, whether it's a marriage, and I want to talk about marriage because you just got married in the last couple of years.
2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm.
So you got married 2.5 years ago, and you probably, did you think you'd ever get married at that point? Or?
Well, I kind of gave up, but. So, do you want to talk about that now?
I do want to talk about that now, because that's change.
Yeah.
That's change management. It's partnership.
Huge change for me. Yeah, so both of us, we got married, both of us in our 40s. So both kind of set in our ways. He has a son, so I now have a stepson who will be 21 in May. So that's a big change, and but it's great. I love being married. I feel like I'm with my best friend every single day, and it's just great. I think I'm fortunate that I got married later because we do value, and it's hard to find somebody in your 40s that's never been married. So neither one of us were married, so it was great.
I think, but this is somebody you knew from your previous
life,
which is kind of interesting.
We went to high school together, and he and I were really good friends in high school, and even a little bit afterwards. His best friend was my high school sweetheart, so we were really good friends. And another interesting thing too that you and I talked about, my husband has 4 siblings, and every one of them is married to somebody that they went to high school with. So all of us, all 10 of us, went to the same high school. So it's kind of like this big reunion when we get together. It's really fun. We're all really close.
So marriage has been a great experience. It wasn't what you thought, because number one, the first year of marriage, I always learned, was the hardest. Mm-hmm. And then you have been on your own for a long time. You're doing it your way, what you want to do, when you want to do, you don't check in. But it sounds like you've adapted to it really well.
Yeah, it was always me and the dogs.
Did you bring in a consultant or
No.
anything for change management?
We figured it out on our own. It's been great. You're right. It was me for a long time, and I would come and go as I want and work as many hours as I want, and it was easy. But bringing somebody, and a child, he's not a child, but an adult child, into the house, it was a change for us.
It'd be very
Definitely.
different. But it just tells you a lot can happen when you never, in fact, it does happen when you never expect it.
Right. It's when are you going to be home for dinner?
Yeah.
Where I used to never get. So now it's like, oh, okay, I have to go home.
Yeah, no, but that's good. But and somebody cares. I think that's nice. That somebody
it's
really
great.
cares. I think that's a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about something, because no pain, no gain.
Right.
Let's talk about that. And sometimes we make decisions that don't pay off. And I know that this was a very public one for you.
Yes.
And I want to talk about, I don't know if any of you remember, and some of you may, a company you launched simultaneously in the Verizon Center. It was called Collaborations.
Right.
Is anybody familiar with Collaborations? Okay, it was a private club. It was really the coolest thing in the world. And actually it was a good idea at the wrong time.
Exactly. It still is a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah. But I want to talk about that, because I think a lot of times, everybody looks and we have these conversations of your success and everything, and they go, well, they had easy. Everything came, and it's like, oh no, you didn't see, the burnt toast in the oven and the things we tried that failed, which are the gifts too. I think that they are gifts, and you learn a lot.
Well, the early days of going without a paycheck, for periods of time so you can pay everybody else.
Absolutely.
So what we did a couple years ago, I guess it's about 5 years ago now, 4 years ago, we decided that we were going to have kind of a breakout idea, and that was part of our strategy. Let's do something kind of new and different and interesting in the marketplace. And we decided that we were doing some sports marketing at the time with Silo Smashers. We were doing some things with the Redskins and some things with the Wizards down at the Verizon Center. And we were doing peak performance players of the game, which was really cool because it goes very much in line with what we do as our services. And we built a good relationship with the folks that, it was Abe Poland's company at the time down at the Verizon Center. And we put together a concept that we took to them of building a business club. And the whole thought was around bringing sports and entertainment together with business, because so many people, businesses have boxes, they bring their clients in, they entertain. And so what our idea was, well, let's build this private club, and it could be a place where people could come and have meetings. They could have networking events. I know you had come to a networking event there. Yeah, it's a great place. Great idea, wonderful idea. Couple things happened. One, we were delayed in opening. The construction was delayed. We had anticipated opening up when the seasons start in the fall, really when the Wizards start, and then hockey, the Caps follow right behind that. We didn't open until January, and so we were trying to sell memberships to this private business club at the Verizon Center, but we didn't have a club. We didn't have a place to go to. Beautifully designed inside, it was really, high level, very posh when you would go in, very much like a private business club. And the other thing that happened around that time, when we were delayed in opening, the market was tanking right at the same time. And so poor timing in the market. People were cutting back on entertainment expenses. They just were not spending money on those types of things. So we had to look long and hard at a business idea that we loved. And we knew that this is something different in the DC area, something really unique, and something that is needed in the business world. And because it really was, I know you networked there, and you probably met some folks there. I know other people, actually, I know somebody that actually met their wife there. So we were really networking, but it was a great business club. And so we had to look really hard at ourselves and say, can we sustain this without revenues coming in until the next season? which was, another 6 months of having to pay the Verizon Center. We were leaseholders. We were paying them rent. Could we really do that? And the answer was no. We couldn't do it. I may have been able to do it, but I would have drained Silo Smashers. Silo Smashers would have tanked.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that because Silo Smashers is, the core. And so we had to make the hard decision of getting out of our commitments to Verizon Center, turning over the keys to them, and having them really take back ownership of the club.
I think that's really, an intriguing, and somebody recently shared with me, I think it was Brian Roberts, he's a Vistage coach in Washington, and he shared something that I thought was so brilliant. It's a bad economy is a great business consultant. And if you think about those words of wisdom, some people would have said, no, I'm known for this. I'm not going to let it go down. And then you take everything else down with it. And sometimes you have to make the toughest decisions you don't want to make.
Right.
But you do. And that's what leadership is about.
Right.
So it was really a great concept. And I really thought you had done a knockout job. I mean, it was just beautiful.
Well, thank you.
I think in the right place. In Dallas, Texas, I mean, I think that would be gone, it would be, but that's kind of the community. It was it was just really one of those places where a guy, especially, but even women, I found it really, I met the most fascinating people there, but especially people, you go and you have this private suite area that was just great food, great wine, great opportunity to chat with
business people. People. And the heartbreaking thing was we had other arenas calling us. We had where the Bulls play in Chicago, they were calling us because they wanted to learn. Where the Devils play up in New Jersey, they were calling us to say, can you come build a facility like that for us? Because when they would come into town, they would see it, and they would, ask to get a tour or whatever of it. And because they always like to look at each other's arenas and what they're doing to stay on the latest and greatest thing. And so it was just heart-wrenching to, have to say no, knowing that there's a great idea out there, just wrong timing in the market. And I didn't have enough capital personally to continue to invest in something that was going to take another 6 to 9 to 12 months to have a return on.
Yeah, and I think how long we stayed down in this declining economy, I think you made absolutely
it wouldn't
the right
have come
decision.
back. Yeah, but they're there today. What warms my heart is I was sitting at a Caps game. I'm a Caps fanatic, but I was sitting at a Caps game with a colleague who actually helped build the club with me, and we're enjoying the game. And the 2 seats next to me were empty the whole game. Well, these 2 guys come down like almost at the end of the 3rd period, and I'm like, of course me, I'd talk to anybody. I was like, what are you guys doing here showing up at the end of the game? And they're like, well, actually, we were up in this really cool club up there. We brought clients in. We had a meeting this afternoon in the boardroom, and then we had dinner with them, and now they're just enjoying the game. And that was in the club that we built. Now it's under a new name. It's called the Players Club, but still, the concept is there and people are using it. So it warms my heart that
and it doesn't mean it's not a great idea that you gave rise to that won't be captured in some other place. I think it's such a great idea. So what's next for you and Silo Smashers?
Well, I think in the immediate is surviving what's going on with the federal government, with the cuts and things that are changing, and trying to navigate what's going to be next with new legislation that may come out, and we're all the election years, the elections have begun basically, so it's kind of watching that and figuring out what's going on. And for the first time in the history of the company, I'm watching the elections earlier than I ever have because it's impacting so many things. So I'm kind of watching that, make sure we're navigating the changes that are happening. We're on a path, hopefully, knock on wood, cross my fingers, if things go well, we're on a growth spurt. Like I said, we had our best year ever. We're striving to get to $50 million by 2015, and that is something that I've clearly communicated to the entire company and everybody. We're trying to get everybody on board with that growth because, it's not just one person's responsibility for the growth. It's every single person's responsibility in the company for growth and having a successful company, in order for us to reinvest back into them. And so we're trying to get everybody on that path to go there.